We're here with Aunty. I'll let her introduce herself for us. We're just here to capture her stories so that her story can live on forever. So, no mai, Aunty, you want to introduce yourself?
My name's Emily Roimata, Hippolyte Pickett. Tuor and Ben were my parents. I'm the 9th in a birth family of 10, and we had whāngai and adopted children added to our family.
Awesome. What year were you born?
1945.
1945. And whereabouts were you born? Were you born here
In
in
Nelson.
Australia? In Nelson, okay. In the hospital?
Where were I born? Here in Australia?
You're Aussie, Aunty.
You cheeky bugger.
No, I'm just playing with you, Aunty.
I'm from the land of the long white cloud.
In the Nelson Hospital?
I'm not sure. I'm sorry. I forgot to ask my mum. I suppose it was the Nelson Hospital.
And you said you had 10 siblings, did you say?
Yeah, I'm the 9th of 10
Oh, you're the 9th of
birth
10.
children.
Who's the youngest?
Nola May.
Oh, nice. Do you want to name all your siblings for us?
Sure. There's John, Tione, Joe, Ruruku, Benjamin, Turi, Lionel Eparaima, and then Aunty Maria, and then Ratapu, Nelly, and Hohapata, Ngāwaihu, o tō Ekapatania, and Emily Roimata. And then Nola May was added at 5 years after me.
Nice. And so tell us about where you were raised. Were you raised in Nelson or down the island, or tell us about
Nelson
this?
mainly.
Okay.
When the year I turned 5, we were all living at the 5 Wash, and each family had a room. And my dad had gone to Maori Affairs, and next minute we've got a brand spanking new house, about 1.5 miles from 5 Wash, where we all lived as a family.
And where was that?
In Nelson, just opposite where the train station was, actually.
I don't even know where that is.
No, well.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder when that got removed.
They were taking it away probably when I was in intermediate school.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
So you spent most of your time in Nelson, did you? Or?
Yes, but we used to go down to the island for holidays.
Yeah.
And also to Whangarai.
Whangarai.
Yeah.
It's actually a place I've never been to, eh?
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, that was from my dad's side of the family.
Oh, Whangarai. Yeah.
And Matapihi.
Yeah.
That's from the Hippolyte side too. Yeah.
Nice. And what's one of your earliest childhood memories?
Was always running away from 113 Toitoi Street, which is Hamden Street in that time.
Oh, really?
And running all the way down to 5 Wash, which was about 1.5 miles, to Grandma. And because I was her favourite, of course. That's Wetikia. And
Why were you the favourite?
because I pushed myself in there.
How? How'd you do that, Auntie?
Oh, no, I used to always, Mum and Dad worked, the aunties, Auntie Lou, they all worked. So Grandma more or less had me for the first 5 years, and Grandma was a paraplegic and she was bedridden.
Was that, what age was that for her?
I'm not sure, I'm
Was
sorry.
she like that from when you were born, or?
From when I was born.
Yeah, she was already, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what was she like?
Gorgeous. But she used to tell us stories, all the old stories she'd tell us. She was just so knowledgeable. And Grandma used to come back to Nelson for winter because it was hard for the family to keep her over winter. So you always had to have, there was always a lot of washing with Grandma. And because of her continual bedridden, there was bed sores and things like that. But that's what, I always knew I wanted to be a nurse because I wanted to look after Grandma when I got older.
Wow. So I remember you telling me the other day about there was like 2 paths you could take with...
Oh yes, Mum, this is our mum. Education was one of the biggest, most important things other than the church in our family. And my dad said that all the boys had to get an apprenticeship before they could leave school. He wanted them working, and so we had electricians and plumbers and cabinet makers and carpenters. And then out of our girls, we had 2 choices. You either went nursing or you went teaching.
And you went nursing?
I went nursing, Nellie went nursing. Howard Road was Maria was the eldest of us girls. She went to Teachers Training College in Christchurch. She also was in Christchurch for the 4 previous years to going to Teachers College because she'd won a Sure to Rise Edmonds baking powder scholarship.
Wow.
Which she used at Te Waipounamu Māori Girls College in Christchurch.
Oh, nice.
So then Nellie, Ngāwai, me, Nola May, we all went to church college. Nellie, towards the very end, of her school life, they had been in Nelson Girls College. But the college was open and up and running by the time I was of college age.
Yeah. And what was it like living, did all of you all live together, all your siblings?
On and off.
Yeah.
When they were younger and the family were on the island or down Whangarai, my brothers spent a lot of time with their cousins to keep the numbers up so that they could have enough down there to warrant a teacher. So, we were brought up with our cousins being our brothers or sisters. you know, and that's still going on these days.
Yeah.
You know.
And being so many of yous, like if I liken it to me and my brother's relationship, we'd always get on each other's nerves. Did that happen with yous, or who was the rat bag of the group?
I had a big mouth. No filter.
Do you have any experiences that you'd like to share?
Of
maybe just being
stepping
that,
out a line again.
Yeah.
Mum was a good mother. Mum and Dad brought us up. We all had our jobs to do, and Saturday morning we got up and we went through the house and we all had our chores. The sheets got changed, the kitchen cupboards always tidied out, and the paper we used to put in the bottom of the cupboards, that got changed every Saturday. And then we used to have primary, and so that we'd go down to the chapel. At that time, our chapel was up Washington Valley.
Really?
And it was an old home that one of the aunties had owned, and they turned it into our first chapel in Nelson.
Wow.
So yes, so Saturday morning was our primary, and in the afternoon we were allowed to go to the movies. As we got older, sporting commitments came in also. And then when we were first in town, for a number of years, we didn't have a car. When we moved up to the new house, we still didn't have a car, so it was, like I said, about 1.5 miles to the chapel in Washington Valley, and we had to walk it every Saturday to go to primary, and every Sunday to go to Sunday school, and then back again in the evening for church at night.
Wow.
So we must have been pretty fit, you know.
Oh, heck yeah. That's a lot of walking.
But,
so what other schools? So you said you went to college, to church college?
Yeah, church college.
What about your primary days? What schools and?
I don't remember going to Auckland Point School.
Oh.
I only remember Victory School for primary school, and then in Standard 5 and 6 was at the intermediate school, and then after that I was the first one in the family to go through all my college education at church college. Both Aunty Mātātara and Aunty Emily put in a few years at Nelson Girls College before church college was opened.
How was church college for you?
Fantastic.
Yeah. Was it different?
Well, I didn't know we were poor, because Mum and Dad gave us the best, the very best they could afford. So when it was my time to go to college, a week or so before I left, my mum took me down shopping, and we walked to town. and that saved sixpence on the bus. And we went to the shop and we got, Mum said I had to pick out 3 lots of materials for 2 pair of shorty pyjamas and 1 night dress. And then I had to pick out material for her to make me a house coat. And then a ball frock. She wouldn't, I had to pick the material out for that, and 1 good outfit. And then she added a warmer winter material so that she could make me an overcoat.
Wow.
So we got home with the material and Mum went to work.
Was that all your siblings as well?
Well, all that was at that time, you know, that was my first year away, so I was the special one. You know, the years before, Nellie and Ngawe got the treatment.
Yeah, right.
And Maria got it when she went away to Te Waiponamu Māori Girls College in Christchurch. So yeah, we had the very best our parents could afford.
That's all you can ask for.
You know, so we were pretty spoiled as far as that goes.
Yeah.
And then when I was nursing, when we had little special days or doing exams, everyone, well, a lot of the girls would receive a bouquet of flowers from their family. I'd receive a big chocolate cake and sometimes some cream puffs or whatever was the favourite at the time.
Yeah.
Cream puffs were really what Grandma used to make for your grandmother.
Really?
Because she loved them.
Cream puffs?
Yeah, that was her favourite when we were kids. And with Aunty Nellie, when she was coming home from the nurse's home, Mum would say to her, Nellie, stop at the store, pick up some steak and eggs. And then she'd come home and then Mum would cook her up a big steak and eggs. And so we were all spoilt in our own ways.
And you're telling me the other day about that experience with the motorbike and the dance. Was it a ball?
Yeah.
Was it church college?
Yeah, I was at church college, but it was at home in Nelson. And the Friday night dance was in town at the Oddfellows Hall. No, that's where we had church for a while. We didn't have a chapel in those days. But the dance was on Friday night and then there'd be another one on Saturday night. Well, Saturday night one.
Oh,
that was the local.
Oh, okay.
And Saturday night one was out at Stoke at the town hall there.
Yeah.
So I don't know how it came about, but Dad said, you can't go out tonight. And Mum and I always had a thing where Mum said, Emily, you do what I ask you when I ask you. And then when you want something, I can never say no because I have no reason to say no because you've done everything that I've asked. So Mum had me working all day, doing my chores. And I said, I'm going to the dance tonight. And it was Tākuna Elkington was my closest mate in those days. And I said, Connor and I are going, you know, blah, blah, blah. Mum says, all right. Anyway, Dad said to me later on in the day, you're not going out tonight. So I went to my mum and I said, Mum, Dad said I can't go out tonight. I've worked hard all day to do the things you asked me to do. Now, Dad says I can't go. And she said, Emily, you go out the front door when you go and you come back in the front door. No sneaking out of windows. So...
Is that something you would do?
That's what I did, was I got dressed. My dad had said I couldn't go, but I'd talked to Mum. Got all dressed up and I walked down to the corner to catch the bus. The dance, we had fun. After the dance was just finishing, I come outside the hall and there's my brother Ra on his motorbike, and he said to me, Em, Dad sent me out to pick you up.
How did that make you feel?
Special. Really special. So he must have said something to Mum, and Mum's...
Or he wanted you home?
He was just concerned for me.
Yeah.
But, yeah, to ask my brother to come and get me was pretty special.
Yeah. So, so with Church College, you spent all your college years there?
Yes.
Up in Hamilton?
Up in Hamilton.
And how did you go? How did you get up there?
We'd fly to Wellington and then catch the train up overnight.
Oh, wow.
We'd board the train about 6 o'clock at night and we'd get off at about 7 in the morning.
Oh, wow.
In Frankton, and then you'd catch the bus out to the college.
And you would board at the college?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. So that closed down, the boarding closed down when I was there.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, I managed to go there for the last year, which was cool. It was really different because staying from going to school in Nelson and then experiencing Church College, it was just a whole nother world. But I loved it.
Yes, I did too.
Yeah.
And I was on the swimming team.
Yeah?
Yeah, that was my choice of sport.
Yeah, right.
So,
you're a swimmer?
Yeah, I was at home too. I belonged to the swimming club in Nelson.
Wow.
And when I was 11, I swam in the harbour swim, which was dove in at the wharf and swam over to Horseshoe Island and then back around to the...
Really? Wow, I did not know that. Did you have any other hobbies, sports that you did? Same old.
I played hockey in the winter and basketball on a Friday night other than school. Then on a Friday night we played indoor basketball at the YMCA. So, yeah, and then church took up a lot of our week with after you finish primary you go into youth MIA and so it was good. We had a good life.
Yeah. What was it like with being Māori back in those days? Was it different to today? Or what was it? What was that whole world like?
Well, I don't know any different because we were Māori.
Yeah.
Very proud of it. although the only time our parents spoke Māori in the home was when they wanted to talk to each other and not have us know what they're talking about.
So they never taught you
No.
the reo, but they were fluent?
Well, they were fluent, but they didn't teach us te reo Māori because they were punished as young people in school for speaking the language.
Wow.
And so they decided that they wouldn't teach us te reo Māori because it would hold us back.
Interesting.
It was a white man's world, which is sad. We thought we were pretty clever when we learnt Māori culture.
How would you learn that?
Well, we used to get into groups. I learnt it mainly when I was away at college, at church college. But when we were younger, you know, your school gala every year, you had a fundraiser for the gala day, and they'd have part of the gala was a dress up for the students, and you'd have to parade around and they'd pick out the winners. And for about 4 years I was the winner every year because I'd dress up as a Māori.
What would you wear?
I'd wear a piu-piu and a little top and a korowai and a plaited flax in my hair. I mean, I was the real thing. There wasn't all that many Māori families in Nelson, you know, other than our cousins and us. The few songs and things that we did learn was pretty special to us.
Do you remember those songs?
Of course I do. What, you wanted me to tell you what they...
Do you remember the names of them?
Excuse me. Because we all knew kamate, the haka. And you've put me on the spot now. I should have jogged my memory
That's all right.
before I sat down. Mehe Manu, that was one of them. Hoki Mai. But yeah, we were pretty lucky.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just remember that being such a wonderful childhood. And as far as we were concerned, we were Māoris. We were top of the ladder.
Yeah. Were you treated like that? Were you treated differently?
No, we were. You don't let people put you down.
Yeah. It's
you
true.
know.
Yeah.
No, we had a lot of good mates at school. And our dad worked down on the wharf during this time. And so I should imagine the wharf was one of the higher paid jobs in those days because had a very strong union. And our social events through that was always had the biggest Christmas tree at before Christmas, and in the earlier part of the year was their picnic day, which is always held up at the Mātātara Reserve. And Dad was always on the social committee, and so we really had wonderful times. And all our cousins used to come with us to the picnic days, and they'd win all the races.
Yeah. All the cousins always winning?
Yes.
Standard? Expected?
But our cousins were, you know, our whole life. You didn't need best friends. You had cousin bros.
That's the same today, Auntie.
No, it is. It is. Because just a few weeks ago, we were up in Sydney. We went to my cousin Sanna's 90th birthday. And there was Aunty Emily and I representing our family. There was Aunty Kōrero representing her side of the family. Aunty Kala, her family, you know. And Sanna was Aunty Polly's. So there was about 8 first cousins. And it was such a wonderful couple of days together. You know, a lot of memories.
Nice. Yeah. Just being with everyone again, that's cool. If you had to think back to your childhood, what would have been your favourite memory? Or most precious?
Going down to the island for Christmas, and for a number of years there, we'd camp in a tent over at Madsen Bay, and then Mum and Dad would cook out it. There was a little area concreted beside the creek, and it had a copper pot there, and Mum would do the washing in the creek. Further up, they'd have butter and things in the creek to keep it cold. You never washed up that area. You washed further down. The little idiosyncrasies that we practice were for a reason, you know. You went into the tide, you had a swim. If you wanted to rinse off in the creek, but swimming was our bath.
Yeah.
You know, you jumped in, had a swim, and that was it for the day. And the stories that used to be told. Yeah, it was pretty wonderful.
But that was all before cell phones and technology came in, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, that would have been really special.
And another thing was waiting till you were old enough to go around and see the glowworms at night down the island.
Which part was that?
Flower Days, around at the waterfall at Flower Days Bay. What, didn't you go through that? That was like a rite of passage.
I don't know if I can remember going through.
You know, yeah.
I might have to check it out this year.
You know, it was wow.
Yeah.
And we'd go round to, when you couldn't wait until you were old enough to go round to see the glowworms.
How old did you have to be?
Oh, around about 12-ish.
Okay. Yeah. Could you see them through the day? Was it dark enough? Or you had to wait till night?
Had to wait for night.
Oh,
They
wow.
didn't glow until the dark.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I've been there.
Oh, that was one of your rite of passage.
Yeah, well, I'm old enough now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, cool. And moving forward, what happened after college? You finished your schooling in Church College, and then
I
what
went
happened?
nursing.
Okay, in Nelson.
In Nelson Public.
And how long did you stay
Aunty
around?
Ngāwai was already there. Your grandmother was already there. Aunty Nelly had already graduated, and she was out at the psychiatric hospital.
Okay.
So there were 3 of us Hippolyte sisters at Nelson Public.
Yeah. And how long did you continue in that mahi?
I was there for about 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And then I fell in love. And
Yeah. Can you tell me how that all started? Tell me everything about that, Auntie. How did that come to be?
well, I was working in Nelson Public Hospital was my stomping ground, and we didn't have what they call a emergency where people could just walk in. Ours was like a triage. You were brought in by ambulance or the police or something like that.
Okay.
I think it was to protect the general doctors, you know, that you had to go to a private doctor for treatment before they'll send you to the hospital. And the only ones that came straight to the hospital was that the ambulance picked up from an accident or something like that, or the police brought in. So Uncle Taz was there with this show had washed out in Richmond that Saturday.
So he was working a show.
So he put a carnival on with just our gear, with just his gear, sorry. And it was down by the fire brigade behind where I think there's basketball courts were there. And it was a little area right off the main street in Nelson. I think now
Is that by Washington?
no, it's more right into the city.
Ah.
It's just down the road from where Newman's bus stop used to be. There was a area there that, and he'd brought his stuff into town and set it up. And anyway, he arrived up to the hospital. One of his staff, a Māori boy, had cut his finger, and he come in like this, and I said, we don't take walk-ins off the street. Yeah, but his hands bleed. I said, you've got to go to a private doctor. I don't have a private doctor. And at the time I thought, oh, he's pretty rude. And anyway, one of the younger doctors happened to walk down through. And I said, Doctor, get rid of this Australian. He's pretty bumbacious. And he hasn't got his own doctor, so I've given him a doctor's number. So he went and had a look, and the boy's hand was cut quite deeply. He said, look, it's just as easy for me to put a couple of stitches into it and let him go. So that's what happened. And of course, once Dad got his own way, he was wonderful, you know, could turn on the charm. And so he said to me, I'll come down to the carnival and see what, you know, or what we've got down there. So I got off at 9 o'clock because I was on a split shift.
Okay.
And so I went over to my girlfriend, Heather, and I said, you want to come down? I've been invited down to the carnival. You want to come with me? And she had a little car, so we jumped in and we went down, and that was the beginning of the end for me. That, you know, stroppy Australian turned into the love of my life.
Wow. That's an awesome way to meet.
But I've had a good life, very good life. It's a different community, and it's like anywhere else. You've got the goodies, you've got the baddies, you've got the hard workers, you've got the ones that don't work as hard. But the nicest thing about it is you're around your family all the time. So
yeah,
that's been a bonus plus for me.
Yeah. So when did you get married? What happened after you guys?
Well, I got married because he kept on threatening to go. He was on going home to Australia. Yeah, it was a bit of a cultural shock.
So how long did he stay in New Zealand?
In New Zealand before we actually moved to Australia.
Yeah.
We'd been married 6 years, and then we moved over here.
Wow. What age were you?
25. 26, yeah.
Did you stay in Nelson, or did you?
Well, we did the shows. We travelled the New Zealand circuit, mainly in the South Island.
Yeah.
And we bought a caravan, and that was our home. But we'd go back to Nelson every Christmas and have a Christmas carnival there at Tahuna Beach.
Nice.
Yeah, it's Taz was homesick for a number of years, you know, wanted to come back to Australia. And so the way he got me was he said, Em, I promise you, anytime you want to come home, you can, to visit. Em's not so dumb as to know you've got to have feathers before you can fly. So in the first few years, it was pretty tough on me. But in latter years, your uncle said they only have to fart in New Zealand. and she's on a plane. But it was quite funny because we'd be in a rush in the latter years. As soon as he said, I'm going overseas, my suitcase had come out and I'm going home.
Yeah. And so how many children do you have?
I have 6. I had 4 in New Zealand,
Okay.
4 in 6 years.
Okay.
And then we had 2 more over here, Jamie and then Benjamin.
So who's your oldest?
Kathleen
Okay.
is the eldest, and then Tasman,
Yeah.
and then Maria Jane and Jackie.
Okay. And then you had 2 when you were over here.
Yes.
Yeah. So, okay. So how long? Oh, so your kids were brought up in New Zealand for a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah, only for the first few years of their life, eh?
Mm-hmm.
And then, oh yeah, and then you came over here. Did your kids, when you're saying you'd travel back, so you pack that suitcase straight away, would your kids come back with you, or did they get to experience New Zealand? Or?
Yes. Well, we didn't travel as a big family, but 1 or 2 would come with me every time I went home.
Yeah. And did they get to learn any of that Māori?
No.
Any reo? Yeah. Because
No.
it wasn't taught through to you.
Yes, so I couldn't teach it
Yeah.
on. And the first time that I wanted the kids to be really something was for my 50th birthday.
What did you want?
I just wanted them to learn a haka. And here we used to have a big, where that grass playground is, out the front, we used to have a big dam there with a bridge that went over it.
Okay.
And I wanted them to do the haka on the bridge, for everyone to see. But then a few years later, when our kids started having children, Dad was concerned about one of our mokos falling into the dam out here. So he decided that would fill it in.
Yeah. Right. Just for safety.
Safety.
Yeah. Wow. And what was Uncle Taz like? I didn't really know him too well. What was his personality like? I can tell from your children they're real go-getters, they're real headstrong and real driven. Is that, how did they?
I thought that come from the Hippolyte side, mate.
No, that's the cheeky.
Dad was a very, very kind man. He was really respectful of elderly people because he was brought up with his old grandmother around and his auntie. There was only 2 in his mother's family, just her and her sister. So Dad was very respectful too of my religious affiliation, because when he asked Dad, could we get married, my father said to him, because Emily's under 21, I have the right to ask you about her religious affiliations. And he said, that's the girl I fell in love with. I will never interfere. So Dad was a devout Catholic, and he's from a very strong family. They had lots of family ties, you know. So over the years, he never once, you know, put a hurdle in front of me, other than we travelled every Sunday. So we travelled to a new place. So it made it hard to attend church.
Yeah. And yeah, so moving forward with all the shows and stuff, can you tell me about how that all started? Did that start before you met him?
Oh, yeah, yes.
Yeah, and then you guys became
Him
a team.
and his father, this was Taz's dream. Dad had spinning wheels and things like that. Taz's father did, and did a lot of charity things. Taz's dream was for to own rides. And he used to go down to the carnival at Mātātara when he was just young. I think 10 years of age was about the age that Dad decided he wanted to have rides and things. And when Chadstone Shopping Centre opened, he had a downstairs part where he put up a little fun fair. And that was before anything like that moved into the shopping centres. Well, that was the biggest shopping centre in the whole of Australia, Chadstone. Wow. And he had a couple of rides in there, and one of the soft serve ice cream. He tells a few stories, you tell us a few stories about that. Mm. But he put together some go-karts and a couple of kiddies rides and a couple of games. And then he came over to New Zealand and bought his go-karts, and he had them on through other showmen there on a couple of the shows, and that's how come he was in Nelson. The AMP show was on.
Really?
And he was up there to work it because he was doing the South Island circuit. Mm. And then when it got rained out, he just went and hired a bit of land in the town, and that was the beginning of the end for me.
Mm. Did you mainly live in Melbourne the whole time, or?
No, we travelled.
So you didn't have one place?
No,
oh, wow.
Not. Oh, we bought this place about 27 years ago.
Mm. Oh, yeah.
The other times we just travelled, had the caravan, and went from town to town all over Australia.
How was that? How was that whole lifestyle?
It was good. It was good. Mm. And it's a whole community because there are families with children doing exactly the same. And we had to, educating our kids was a tough deal.
Yeah. How
Well,
did that work?
when they were younger, they'd go to town. They'd go to each town we were in. They'd go to a school for that week, and you'd had an attendance book, which is they'd just stamp it with their school stamp. So-and-so attended this school from this date to that date. And that was it.
So it wasn't much schooling at all. It was just a bit of school when you travelled.
Yeah.
It's just week on.
And
weeks
then
off.
we'd have books and that we'd take to try and get a bit of continuity, you know, for them. But it was tough on the kids too, because some schools they didn't have the extra teacher to put into place. And then you'd get a really special teacher in one of the small towns that we'd go to do the show, and they'd try and cram whatever they could in and photocopy you out sheets for the kids to work on when we were travelling.
Yeah.
It was tough for the kids,
Yeah.
you know.
What did they want? Did they want to go to an ordinary school, or were they happy just travelling and working
They
shows
had no
as well?
choice.
But did they say they wanted to do something?
They had no choice, mate.
And they knew that?
You know,
Yeah.
the
Would they
choice
complain?
about having to go to a different school every week. Well, they knew nothing, no other way.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
And then we worked very hard and we got ourselves a travelling school with a couple of classrooms, and we got a bit of funding, and then we got a couple of classrooms built in trailers.
Wow.
And we thought it was so fantastic.
Yeah.
When we got our own school.
Yeah, that's really cool. So at that time, how old was your oldest child?
By the time we got to school, we only got it a few years ago, it seems like.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had to try and teach our children to read, teach them. Maths was easy. Maths was no worries at all, because as soon as they can count 1 to 10, you had them in the clowns working, or you had them in a ticket box working, or you had them in the canteen working. So they've learnt from a very young age to do those things as far as they could.
Yeah.
But yeah, about 10 years of age was the beginning of their solid working commitments.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so, and then because we had so many children, their father put one in charge of the food, one in charge of the big ride, one in charge of the kiddies' rides, one in charge of the games. Maria Jane had the games, Kathleen had the food, Tasman had the big ride, and then Jane did the games, and Jackie would do the office
Okay.
with me. Yeah. So, you know, you had your jobs.
Yeah. And are you proud of your kids and how far they've come?
Is the Pope a Catholic? Am I proud of my kids? But of course I am very proud of them. But that wasn't just, that was something that was taught from my parents. And it made me a better parent. There's no one more important than my own. No one. And that's the way I brought them up. We brought them up, and when I say my own, our own, it's all encompassing.
Would you say you were hard on your kids?
Yeah, strict.
Strict? Why is that?
Kathleen asked me when she was 12 years of age, please, Mum, do I have to have a shower at 5 o'clock and put my pyjamas on? Well, that was my routine.
Because it'll be quite hard to have a routine with all the travelling, hey?
Well, no.
No?
Routine's routine.
Yeah.
With all the travelling too, you had... we had different things we did. You know, when you've got miles and miles to travel, and especially when before I had to take responsibility of a truck, you had time to teach the children reading while you're travelling along in the front of a truck. So that was, you know, your first little times of, and then they'd have to do their schoolwork while they're travelling along in their truck, in the truck.
Yeah.
So it was but there's, for me, you know, your family's the most important, but that's the way I was brought up.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. You're a very generous person, Auntie. Like, some will say too generous. Do you think you're quite generous?
If you got it, share it.
I like that.
You know, it's just part of your makeup.
Yeah. We always like this.
Well, I learnt that from my mum and dad.
But they're generous too.
You know, so if one of us had it, we all had it.
Yeah.
You know.
So, yeah, this is a topic I want to talk about. I want to know where your nickname came from.
Which nickname?
How many do you have?
Auntie Beautiful. Well,
Cheeky.
to be honest, I had to pay for it.
Yeah? What does that mean?
It meant that I was being cheeky to your grandmother, and I was paying all the nieces and nephews $1 each time they called me Auntie Beautiful in front of her.
You cheeky.
Hey, but I've been jealous of her all my life. So
You're funny. So that's how it
well,
all
she
started.
could sing, she always looked pretty, she always was the lady, and I was a lout. So that's how it started.
Yeah.
Was the kids. He was probably one of the first.
Tell me.
Auntie Beautiful. Yeah, here's $1.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah,
Auntie
I was
Beautiful,
wondering
Auntie
that.
Beautiful, Auntie Beautiful, that's $3.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's so funny. And
But it stuck.
It did. It did. And now you are Auntie Beautiful, or everyone will call you Grandma.
Yes, that's as much. That to me is the biggest compliment.
Why is that?
I just love it. Yeah. I'd rather be called Grandma than anything else. And a lot of our friends, children, still call me Grandma.
That is a huge compliment. Yeah.
Oh,
How does that make you feel?
makes my heart. And a lot of the show kids that are the same age as my kids, and they get a little bit older, and Emily, Auntie to you. Oh, sorry, Auntie Em.
Yeah.
But I couldn't think of a happier life I could have had than the one I've had. You know, to be around your children 24/7, to be with people that you loved. We have a fraternity on the showgrounds, and it's pretty close, you know. If we're broke, everyone's broke, because that's how the season runs. If we've got money, everyone's got money, because we've had a good run. But I've had made, and I won't say friends, we say family on the showgrounds that have been and will always be, you know, part and parcel of our lives.
Yeah.
And I think too, being Māori, and we've passed on a lot of that in our lives that we were taught, and the kids are part of it. And there's no one more important to our kids now than their cousins. And I think that's wonderful for another generation to feel the love that we had for our cousins.
Yeah.
You know, I think you got to experience it over in the States with your cousins there.
Yeah, that also leads me on to that topic what was that trip for? What did we do?
We went over for one of my granddaughter's graduations.
Yeah.
And I like to go over because it's another goal that she has accomplished in her life.
Which part of the world did we go to?
America, to Houston, to Arizona.
And how was that for you? That whole trip?
I loved it.
What did it mean for you?
Well, it just made me proud, and to see the kids, to see them progressing. It's good to be part of.
Yeah. So, what does family mean to you?
It's the beginning and all of everything, beginning and end of everything. My whole life revolves around my family. And that doesn't mean just my children. It's my extended family, my family back home in New Zealand, my nieces and nephews, cousins. We're so blessed. And I feel so wealthy because of that, because of the people in my life. I remember when I was first married and started having children, and my mum said to me, these are the diamonds in your crown. And she was talking about our babies, And now here I am after having 6 children. I've got 26 grandchildren. And as of day before yesterday, I now have 6 great-grandchildren. So that to me is, I am rich. I'm rich with blessings of healthy children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, and my friends around me.
And just lastly, Auntie, before we finish up, if you were to pass on a message for people that may watch this with years to come, what message would you like that to be?
Love one another. Be respectful of your elders, but above all, love one another. I think that's what my mum and dad would just on a bit of a fun thing. When I had Kathleen, all I saw was my baby. That's all I saw. And then other people looking and saying, she's very fair. She's very fair. And then my family would call her Casper, the friendly ghost. I was wanting a black baby. but It's not the colour of them. It's what's... And my grandchildren and great-grandchildren, oh, there's nothing better. Nothing better.
Well, thank you, Auntie. Thank you for having this kōrero with us to keep your stories alive. I hope you've enjoyed yourself and taken you back down memory lane quite a bit. But yeah, all done.
Turn the bloody thing off now, mate.